Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, I'm going to share with you an interesting theory that I've sort of been thinking about the past couple of days, and that is that it is Hosea, not Thomas Downs, that gave Arthur his tuberculosis and ultimately started causing his downfall. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought of this. In fact, I only really noticed this the other day. I did a video talking about Hosea and how he almost killed Bill Williamson and how he would kick Sean for falling asleep while being on guard duty. Well, I noticed that after every single one of those conversations, Hosea would start to cough. Just after talking for about 10 or 15 seconds would cause him to have to cough and sort of catch his breath. Very similarly to the way Arthur gets when he was actually struggling and when his tuberculosis disease sort of comes full circle. And we'll actually take a look at those moments a little bit later on, but I want to start with Hosea actually bringing up how often he's sick. Now, you don't get a lot of this during the main story, but you do get a lot of this during the camp conversations and sort of the hidden dialogue that you can have. So let's take a look at those first because it will give you a better idea of Hosea's sickness and what he's sort of going through. So let's look at those right now.
I guess I'm just worried. I ain't got that long, Dutch. I want folks safe before I go.
Me too.
And now we are stuck east of the Grizzlies and out of money and a long way from our dream of virgin land in the west.
I know, my brother, but we are safe. We make a bit of money here. Then we move again, head out around them, be west of Uncle Sam. In a few months, buy some land.
I hope so.
Glad to be out of that cold and sat here. Wonder how many more evenings like this I'll have. Anyone know? Come on, don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. I'm not going to see much more in another couple of years. Maybe 5. My daddy lived until he was 75. A life of sin and debauchery that would make an emperor blush. He was a bigamist 3 times over. Reckoned he had 100 children. Never worked an honest day in his life. I only saw him 3 months in my entire life, and my God, did I love that man. Never met a finer. Anyway.
How are things? I'm good. Glad to hear it.
Well, I would love to meet the man behind the man.
Well, if you do, remind him he has a son. Mind if I sit? Listen, I know I ain't well, but don't pity me. Envy me. I've done all a man could want. My grandfather farmed turnips in some bog in Lincolnshire. In Lincolnshire, which I'm told is in England, famous for turnips. I've never had to eat a turnip in my life. I'm a product of this country. False, true, bad, a little good, tough, old. Don't you worry about me. I'm okay. Ran in a gang for years, never earned a legal dollar. Saw unspeakable evil and remarkable kindness, usually from the same folks. Raised and lost a family. Saw pretty much the whole country, from Madison Avenue to San Francisco. Did bad, did good. Guess I ain't unlucky at all. Guess I'm real lucky. This is what you're offered. Been a tough couple of months. Been a tough couple of years. Since I got sick.
Evening, Arthur.
It's all been tough, you know. We're born with some dreams. We acquire others as we get older, and then we live out something else. When I was younger, I wanted to be a priest. I did, a priest. Didn't know you had to be a Catholic to be a priest. I guess I was always looking for a Messiah. Funny what you find in this life. When I was a kid back east, they said there were dragons in the West. Dragons. Well, I guess we found them. Found them, or made them, or became them. Oh, these futile lives of petty sin we have lived. What choice did we have, really? Streets weren't paved with gold. There was poverty in Europe, there was poverty here. Only here, you could stick a gun to someone's head. Take what you want. That was the only difference.
Good evening.
I can see you as a priest, Hosea.
A priest con man, maybe.
Right.
Okay, so all of that was kind of interesting. Now, Hosea doesn't specifically say that he has tuberculosis. He always just uses the very generic term that he is sick. But even during these camp conversations, you can hear him coughing, and you can say that he doesn't feel well. And we know what happened to Hosea. He died in chapter 4. So maybe we never got to see his tuberculosis sort of gather enough steam like Arthur's did by the time you reach chapter 6. We would have never known because Hosea passed away. Now, the game and all of the signs want you to believe that Arthur got his tuberculosis by beating up a debtor, Thomas Downs. It's a very famous part in chapter 2 during the mission Money Lending and Other Sins, part 3, where Arthur visits the Downs ranch and this occurs.
Please! Please, no!
You borrowed money from my business partner, Herr Strauss. You owe him, you took the money. He wants it back, what's not to understand? Where's our money?
I don't have it.
Sell your place.
We already owe more than it's worth.
Then sell your wife, or your family, or something. We ain't your idea of charity. Is that clear?
Thomas!
What are you looking at?
Thomas!
I said what you looking at, woman.
My husband isn't well. If we could just have more...
Like I said, we ain't nobody's idea of charity. Get us the money.
So it was technically at this moment where you saw Arthur get spit on and coughed on, and he has to wipe blood off of his face. This is the perceived point in which you would think that Arthur contracted tuberculosis from Thomas Downs. Thomas Downs had tuberculosis. That right there would have been the contact point. And Arthur himself even believes that this is the case. During a lot of his confessions later on in the story, you know, he says he got sick and got his tuberculosis by beating a man. And at least that's what he thinks. But I think it could be Hosea that gave Arthur his tuberculosis. Now, I want to talk about how probable and plausible this is, and also some things that might take away from that. So let's talk about some of the plausibilities and probability of this happening first. So number one, Hosea is confirmed that he is sick, and Arthur has been around Hosea for like 20-ish years now. So they've been around a long time, and there's a good chance that if Hosea has tuberculosis, that at any point in time he could have given it to Arthur. However, sort of playing devil's advocate here, on the flip side of that, if Hosea did have tuberculosis, two things. Number one, I don't think he would have made it this long. I'm certainly not an expert in the medical field of tuberculosis, but given what we saw happen with Arthur, it seems to rear its head a little bit sooner rather than later. Although there have been reported cases of tuberculosis being a more dormant disease, and that could be the case of Hosea. The second thing, though, that makes it a little bit more unlikely is how would Arthur be the only gang member that got tuberculosis? I mean, Hosea is hanging out with all the members of the gang. It's not like he's isolated on his own. So how did no one else contract this symptom? Now, sort of a third possibility to this entire scenario is that Hosea had tuberculosis, but didn't give it to Arthur, and then Arthur still contracted tuberculosis from Thomas Downs. That easily could have happened as well. There's no guarantee that Hosea ended up spreading that disease to Arthur if indeed he had it, and if that was the case. Now, it's just a theory, but it is interesting that if Hosea didn't get shot in that bank robbery, how much longer would he have really had? I mean, it did seem as if that he was pretty sick. He states that he's worried about this a ton. So as always with discussion-heavy videos like this, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Do you think Hosea had tuberculosis? Yes or no? If he did, do you think he was the one that gave it to Arthur and not Thomas Downs? Do you think it was a combination of both? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.